So growing up, my father was in the military and he was actually in the Air Force, and I had such an amazing childhood. I have traveled to so many places. I have lived in so many great states and countries, and I just feel so blessed to have really lived that life. So I basically moved every 3 years, and I never really had a place to really call home. So I was born in San Antonio, Texas. From there, we moved to Japan. From Japan, we moved to Florida. From Florida, we moved to California. From California, we moved to Alaska. From Alaska, we moved to Arizona. And then from Arizona, I moved here back to California. And throughout those transitions, we would literally travel cross country just to get to our final destination, I guess you can say. And we literally would go through all of these states by car, and it was just such a great experience. But yes, I am the person I am today because of my childhood, and I would not change it one bit. So let's talk about the cons. So I would have to say the hardest part for me would have to be when my father would have to travel a lot. Sometimes he would be gone for months. You know, he wouldn't be able to come home because he had to do these military exercises or special projects. So I wouldn't see him that much, and that was really tough on me as a kid. But I remember, you know, I remember when he would always come back, he always had a gift for me, so that always made up for it. But I would say the hardest part that I ever had to encounter was during the time of 9/11. That was very hard on me because my dad was sent to Saudi Arabia for almost a year. And, you know, I was a child back then, and, you know, you don't really comprehend those things, like the severity of it. But at the same time, I knew what was going on, and you can't help but to be worried, right? So that was one of my biggest cons growing up. So the second thing that was kind of tough for me is when we would have to move, and I would have to go to completely new schools and meet new friends. And I think the hardest thing was having to leave my old friends and leave all of our memories behind. But it's so funny because till this day, I still keep in contact with many of my childhood friends from different assignments that my dad has, you know, taken. So it's so cool to see everyone grown up and things like that. But it was really hard at the time when I was a kid. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm moving, you know. But it's funny because as a military brat, we knew it was a part of life. So it was like no surprise. But I still keep in contact with a lot of my childhood friends. So another con would have to be that I never really had a stable home. You know, it's funny because a lot of people will ask me, new people will ask me, oh, so where are you from? And I'm just like, I'm from everywhere. Because I never really had a true home, you know what I mean? I've lived everywhere. I can't really say that I have a home. My home, seriously, is my family. Wherever my family is, that's where home is. Because I never really had a stable home or a place to really say, oh, I grew up here all of my life. These are all of my friends that I've known for years. I've never had that. So I kind of envy people when they say, oh, you know, I grew up here and this is where I lived all of my life, because their story sounds so nice as well. So it's something that I've always thought of growing up. I am very fortunate to live the life I have lived, but at the same time, I wish I had that place where I could call home, like a stable home, and be like, this is where I grew up all of my life, and not have to have a response such as, oh, I grew up everywhere. Another thing would have to be, I guess, the disciplinary actions of living on base as a child. You know, when you live on base, you can't just do whatever you want because there is personal and private property on base. It's so funny. I have a story. I remember me and my neighbor, you know, being the kids we are very curious, and, you know, we like to, I guess, investigate what's in our surroundings. So I remember there was this abandoned building, and we went into that abandoned building because we were so bored one summer day, and we went into that abandoned building, and it was so weird because there was telephones that were working in there, but it was so secluded. It was like a ghost building. It was so weird. And it's funny because as soon as we went into that building, we were in there for about, I don't know, we were in there for about like 15 minutes. We leave, and all of a sudden, like, all these cops are surrounded by us, literally. So just think, 3 little punk kids are coming out of the building, and then you see like 3 military cops like surrounding the building. So of course we're panicking, we're like freaking out, and they told us, you know, you guys can't be at this building. This is, you know, this is not, you're not supposed to be here. This is private property. You're trespassing. And we're literally in these cop cars, and these military policemen are taking us to our house, and we are in the biggest trouble ever. And it was just, I laugh about it now because it was funny, you know, like I'm just a kid, hey, I'm just a kid. But that was one of the cons, because you can't do whatever you want on base. You just can't, because you can be dealing with personal and private property. Everything's a mystery, you know? Okay, so enough about the cons. Let's get into the pros. So I think this is probably an obvious, but one of the pros would have to be traveling so much. I was introduced to a new world of traveling as a kid because I wasn't really able to discover and really affiliate myself with all of these cultural backgrounds and really get to know these states and countries that I lived in. It was such an amazing experience, and I was able to be a part of that, and I'm so thankful. I love learning about cultures and just learning people's backgrounds, their traditions, and I really felt like I was able to experience that by traveling. So thankful for that. And with that being said, with traveling, you know, there goes moving. So I moved about every 3 years, and even though it was sad to leave like my friends behind, I always felt so excited to move somewhere new. I felt like I was able to start brand new and start fresh again and start something really exciting. So even though I was like leaving something behind, I felt like I had something to really look forward to. Okay, so another pro would probably have to be like promotions. And this isn't necessarily for me, this is like for my parents. But when something big would happen, such as a promotion, if my dad was going to be a higher rank, we would have like these big parties at the officer club. Like that was the place to be at, the officer clubs on base. So even like with Christmas events or like any holiday parties, it would be held at an officer's club. And so I felt like that was really exciting growing up as a child, because I was able to see like my dad get his promotions. Even my mom was big time into like gardening, and she was so good that she would have yard of the month. And that is a thing actually on base. Like if you do your own yard and it's like fabulous, you'll get chosen as yard of the month. My mom always had yard of the month, and they would go all out. They would take pictures of our house, and they just made a big deal about it. So I thought that was really cool. Also, another big experience being a kid was going to the youth center. I remember the youth center was like the place to be. I loved going to the youth center. All of my friends would like meet up there. There were so many like events and like sports going on there. They had so many activities for all the kids. Like it was so much fun. And I actually remember when we were assigned in San Pedro, I would go to the youth center a lot there too. And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember the show, but it was on Nickelodeon. It was called The Amanda Show. So because I was a part of the youth center, they took us to the Amanda Show. I was such a big fan of her too, like I'm not even kidding you guys. And I was able to meet Amanda Bynes. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. I was so happy. So that was definitely another pro. So this is gonna sound really funny too, but as the little entrepreneur that I always was trying to make like side money. So I would put like little posters like, oh, let me walk your dog. Let me make some lemonade. I would have like little lemonade stands or like bake sales. And at one point I got into babysitting, and on base they provided free like CPR training. So I got my CPR training, you guys, at like, what age was I? At like 11 years old, and I was able to babysit everyone around the neighborhood and make my little money because of my CPR training. Thank you very much. Okay, and not to mention the shopettes and the BX, because that was like the only place to really go to. So I would go to the BX with my family. That's like a grocery store. And I just loved going there because it was like one of the only the only grocery stores that were on base. And when you're on base, it's literally like your own little city. They have your little grocery stores. They have a Burger King on base, which is a pro too because I loved Burger King at the time. They have your own little school. So yeah, it was just like this big like little city. And you just felt like, I don't know, you just felt so cool going to the BX. I loved going to the BX. And you guys are gonna laugh, but if you guys remember if you guys remember being at the BX or the commissary, you remember this. Next, please. Next, please. Oh my gosh, if you go to the commissary or the BX, you know what I'm talking about. And this may sound really repetitive, but another pro would have to be just meeting my friends. I've met so many people throughout my childhood, and I felt just so blessed to just encounter these relationships, these friendships, and really just get to know all of these people. And it is just so awesome because we come from completely different backgrounds. I mean, I've had so many different types of friends. It was so great just really having these relationships, these friendships, and it's so amazing because we still keep in contact till this day, whether it's on Facebook or any social media in general. It's really nice to just catch up now that we're adults. Alright you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I had a really amazing childhood, and these were personally my pros and cons. If you can relate to this video, please go ahead and comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in general if you are not familiar with the military at all. Just let me know your experience. I'd love to hear your opinions. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye now.